Hi, I'm Hazelin Mellon with Matrix ID 2020596161. In this pre-recorded video, me and my friends are going to talk about the factors that widen the gap between developing and least developing countries in South Asia. I will first talk about the introduction. Financial globalization is growing rapidly both within Southeast Asia as in a sub-region and between Southeast Asia and the rest of East Asia. This operation is affecting every country, notably the less advanced Asian countries such as Cambodia, Laos, PDR, Myanmar, and Vietnam, or in short CLMV. CLMV countries see greater depth regional integration as an essential and inevitable process with both pros and cons. The crucial question for CLMV countries is how they will move ahead despite of their limited resources to cope up with far more advanced economies in the region. CLMV in particular must engage in consultation both among themselves and with other nations to share experiences that will assist them in determining suitable priorities for their limited resources and accessible overseas development assistance. Moreover, they are in need of knowledge and experiences on using their resources most effectively and efficiently in order to meet their predetermined goals. ASEAN, with its central location in East Asia, is playing a significant role in the sectoral integration process. Because of their geographical proximity to and long-standing economic and historical ties with other main East Asian countries, the Asian countries are well positioned to successfully drive East Asian integration. East Asian institutionalized integration will thus be a failure unless Asian integration is strengthened. In sequence, Asian integration will screw up if the development gap in Asian, especially between the CLMV and the more advanced Asian member countries, broadens. As a result, closing the development gap between the CLMV and other Asian members is crucial to the growth of East Asian integration. However, it should be noted that the development gaps will always exist, but even so, not all gaps will be obstacles in the way to integration. Now move to the approaches to the issue of closing the advancement gap. In order to close the Asian development gap, generally there are two main approaches, in which the first is more technical in nature, referring to the key gap indicators that we should consider. This approach assumes specifically that development gaps can be reflected in a variety of aspects and disciplines, in other words, multidimensional and interdisciplinary. Conversely, one could begin to discuss the matter of closing the development gap by considering the reforms to be implemented by each relatively new member, the CLMV, the various forms of intra-CLMV collaboration to be pursued, as well as the type of external support needed. It should be noted that the CLMV countries are at varying stages of transformation and global economic integration. In terms of international economic integration, Vietnam and Cambodia have made rapid progress, at least in relating to the number of international economic structures in which they participate in, and they are very early typing. In the meantime, Laos People's Democratic Republic and Myanmar have stayed relatively close. As a result, it is difficult to speculate about reform statements in each of the relatively new Asian nations. In 2007, Bui and Vo introduced a 4I approach to addressing Asia's development gaps based on factors with the 4 I's referring to income, infrastructure, integration, and institutional gaps. The concepts underlying the selection of these indicators are fairly straightforward. First indicator is income, such as the Human Development Index (HDI), can show how far a country has come in catching up to other countries. Rapid growth in per capita income allows less advanced nations such as the CLMV to make progress in other areas of development, for example like education and health, though income growth alone is insufficient to ensure progress in these areas. The tendency to use rising incomes levels to broaden the set of options available to its people and achieve high levels of development is a real concern, particularly for less developed countries. Furthermore, infrastructure, integration, and institutions have all been shown in theories and empirical studies to have a significant impact on economic growth and development. Within Asia, there is a significant income disparity with member nations classified into three groups based on per capita GDP. Singapore and Brunei are high-income members. Malaysia, Thailand, the Philippines, and Indonesia are middle-income members. And the CLMV countries are low-income members. The differences between the three groups of members are enormous, and the gaps between individual members are extremely large in both relative and absolute terms. CLMV countries' income is only a third to fifth of the average Asian members' income, whereas Singapore's GDP per capita is 50 times that of Vietnam and 75 times that of Cambodia, according to Helen Yasidurai in 2003, and was cited in Bui and Wu in 2005.
Hello everyone, my name is Theodora Alicia. The second factor that widened the development gap between developing and least developing countries in Southeast Asia is infrastructure. The Asian continue to lag behind the global average in terms of both quantity and quality, even though some emerging Asian nations have considerably superior in infrastructure than others. The quality of infrastructure as well as access to infrastructure services varies by location and countries, except for the five highly sophisticated economies of Hong Kong, China, the Republic of Korea, Malaysia, and Taiwan, China, known as Asia 5. Developing Asia, in particular, requires improved transportation infrastructure, telecommunications, and logistical service to connect cities to worldwide markets. Exploiting the region's comparative advantage in high-value service and high-tech industry necessitates enhanced communication and just-in-time delivery for an integrated production chain to extend across a number of growing Asian countries. The quality of urban infrastructure may have a significant impact on the urban investment climate and job prospect. Next is integration. Driven by ASEAN since 1967, Southeast Asian regional integration differs significantly from European integration in various aspects. ASEAN was a very inert organization until at least 1977, which was an annual conference of heads of state and foreign. The newly formed Southeast Asian states were led by powerful individuals anxious to consolidate their power through the spread of nationalistic ideology based on the backing of military and police forces. In 2016, Indonesia, the nation with the greatest economy, 14% of Asian GDP and population, 41% of Asian population, has a relatively low GDP per capita. Ranking fifth among the association's 10 members, it only entered the lower portion of the World Bank income group of middle-income nations on a long-term basis in 2003, after slowly recovering from the 1997 to 98 Asian crisis. Indonesia is another country where protectionism is still prevalent. It implies that the association's largest economy, which is also a member of the G20, lacks of financial resources to play a leadership role in economic, political, and security matters, as well as to challenge China's hegemonic views in Southeast Asia. Singapore, on the other hand, is a wealthy nation with a high GDP per capita and is extremely open to free trade and investment, but its absolute proportion of regional GDP, 7% in 2014 and population 1%, are insufficient to make it a regional development engine. ASEAN may be classified into two categories, with Thailand serving as an intermediary due to its size, population, and degree of development. The first category consists of the wealthiest AMS, that is Brunei, Malaysia, and Singapore. Brunei is heavily reliant on oil. It has been harmed by the current drop in oil prices and it's attempting to diversify its economy. And Singapore has completed its structural transformation from the underdeveloped country to a wealthy economy focused on services, particularly financial services. Malaysia aspired to create a high-income economy based on natural resources, manufacturing, and services in the near future. All three economies have reached a period of development in which growth has slowed relative to the elite stage. The second category consists of AMS with lower middle income, some of which were founding members of ASEAN, such as Indonesia and the Philippines, while others were latecomers, such as Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. The CLMV group has just lately achieved the classifications of low-middle income country. The second group is still developing rapidly and is catching up with the more advanced nation, particularly Thailand, whose pace of per capita growing is slowing. This catching up process explains the decline in between country inequality in Asia at work since 2005, which remained greater than the average level recorded before to the Asian crisis of 1997 to 1998. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. My name is Muhammad Shafiqli bin Zulkifli 2020956865. Today I'm going to talk about is institutional factor. Aside from economic inequities, there are also notable difference in institutional capacity and resource. While one will expect a certain amount of state competence to overcome these development gaps, the region's less developed countries suffer severe institutional and resource restriction. These restrictions are due to a various of factors. For one thing, the majority of CLMV nations have agriculture-based economies and are currently in the process of transitioning from centrally planned to market-oriented economic system. Institutional capabilities are recognized to be exceedingly poor, as evidenced by inadequate or underdeveloped institutional framework for business and investment rules. Legal structure are not just inadequate, but also unsophisticated. Furthermore, because CLMV nation rely substantially on foreign financial resource in the form of official development aid as ODA, foreign direct investment, stand for FDIs, and foreign loan. The challenge with properly utilizing and maximizing foreign assistance becoming more prominent. In conclusion, despite this problem, one might argue that the Asian community innovative place human and holistic development at the core of each member country national policy. The Vientiane Plan of Action, stand for VPA, which was unveiled at last year's Asian Summit, offers the framework for achieving this goal and identifies particular areas in the political, socio-cultural, and economic sphere where action is required. One of the major thrusts in developing the ASC, for example, was political development. This special agenda stressed, among other things, the need to promote human rights and duties, allowing for a stocktake of current human rights mechanism and similar entities, including sectoral committees that look into women and children rights, and the expansion of an Asian instrument on migrant worker protection and rights. That is all from me. Thank you.